Calling the meeting to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Belsley.
Here.
Dobbs.
Here.
Hare.
Here.
Herman.
Here.
Kaufman.
Here.
Newhouse. You have a quorum.
Let's pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no public hearings today. We have no presentations or special reports that I'm aware of. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to pull anything from the consent agenda? The only things on the consent agenda tonight are minutes and bills. Would any of the trustees like to pull anything from the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Dodd. Call it.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobbs.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
I have nothing tonight. How about you, Village Clerk?
I have nothing tonight either.
Village Administrator.
I have two items this evening, Your Honor. The first is that I'm asking approval to transfer $16,000 from the general fund and $59,000 from the water and wastewater depreciation fund to the capital projects fund.
Can I have a motion?
Mrs. Herman.
Second.
Mr. Kaufman.
Any discussion? Call it, please.
Dobbs.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
The second item on my list is the approval of actuarial services for the firefighters' pension plan. We have new GASB standards, and they're asking that we prepare these every other year. And we do this for the auditors so that they can be sure, you know, pensions have become kind of a big issue in the state, as you can tell. And so the GASB is kind of trying to narrow in on how those are liabilities to each municipality and governments and such. So that is what this is related to.
Motion, please.
So moved, Your Honor.
Kaufman. Second, Mr. Dodd. Any questions or discussion? Call it.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Dobbs.
Yes.
Chief of Police.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Corporate Counsel.
I'd just like to mention one thing. The plat on Orchard Hills 9 and the pre-annexation agreement was deferred until the next meeting at the request of the developer. Mr. Laudermilk's been working very hard on that. I think we've got everything pretty well worked out. I did want to remind everybody when that's brought up for discussion, a final decision will need to be made by the board regarding the development fee, whether there would be any waiver of it. As the agreement is now written and it has been indicated to all interested property owners, there is no waiver. I'd sent everyone a memo. If anyone has any questions now or in the interim, please let me know.
Are there any questions of council? There being none, Director of Fire and Emergency Services.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have two ordinances on the agenda that I'm asking the board to consider tonight, both of which are very similar in that they update our codes, our building code, fire code, and life safety code to newer versions of those. So there's, excuse me, a few changes to it, but for the most part, it's updating to newer versions. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about it.
Can I have a motion to get this on the table?
So moved.
Second? Mr. Dodd. Pardon me?
There's two ordinances.
Yeah, I was wondering, those who made the motion, are we motioning, we're taking both together, right?
Yes.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Any discussion or questions?
The life safety is to the 2012 standards, and the other one, the fire, is to 2015 edition, is that correct?
That's correct. Both of those are the newest editions of those codes. Typically, codes are in a 4-year revision cycles, and those are just off years. So the 2015s just came out.
Is there any big changes?
I'm not sure exactly about all the changes to the building code. In the life safety code, some of the changes are a push towards the installation of fire safe or sprinklers. You'll notice that we do have one exception in there that I asked to be put in, and that would require that all new homes would be installed with residential fire sprinklers. I'm not asking for that to be included in this, even though I think from a fire safety point of view I would love to see that. Most would say around this area that that's still too cost prohibitive. So I'm not asking for that to be included. I'm asking for that to be excluded. But those are the main types of changes that you're seeing these days.
I have a question for council. In that the state has proposed that new homes have sprinklers, do we have the ability and the right to have an ordinance that says, no, we don't?
I don't think it's been mandated yet that I'm aware of.
That's correct. The state is still at the 2004 edition of the Life Safety Code, and they get hung up on making changes for those, just exactly the reasons that you've talked about. The state fire marshal about a year ago was pushing for more fire sprinkler systems, met a great deal of resistance especially in the Chicago area, and eventually backed off of that request. So there's nothing that would require that currently in the state edition.
Good. Any additional questions? Call it.
Now, is this for both ordinances?
Both ordinances.
Herman,
Yes.
Kaufman,
Yes.
Newhouse, Belsley,
Yes.
Dobb,
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Director of Public Works.
I have 2 items tonight, Your Honor. First, I'd like to ask for approval of ordinance number 14-13. This is an ordinance amending Title 11, Chapter 9, Section 2 of the Morton Municipal Code in reference to the special restrictions for the ComEd easement and adjacent property. And basically, just to briefly summarize, this came up as a result of Orchard Hills 9. It's just something we just needed to start looking at. There's a 250-foot easement on the ComEd power line that runs through our town. Basically, that goes from Pekin all the way to Chicago. And with that, we've always had a 75-foot building setback off the edge of that 250-foot line. So within that, these would be additional restrictions for that area due to the proximity from these power lines. So all of our current ordinance in relation to setbacks would hold true. This would just be above and beyond those standards along the entire corridor of the easement through our town.
Motion?
So moved.
Belsley, second. Kaufman. Any questions?
Are these restrictions kind of mandated by Commonwealth Edison then, as far as?
They're definitely not
transmission of the
mandated. I did meet with them. They thought it was great that we were adding some additional restrictions. You know, there's a lot of easements now that are at 400 foot. So this would allow that protection to that 400 foot on items, you know, like swimming pools or structures, you know, conductive type materials. Just an added protection zone for those items. I don't know if you wanted to comment more on that, Tom. But yeah, there's no mandate from them. This is just for the village. I think, you know, we had the tornado that went through Washington. This is another protection for those type events too, to keep structures out of there, provide a little additional room, you know, if those sort of things happen.
And I want to say the Director of Public Works has worked hard on this. He looked at every avenue from a tornado situation, having to get power going, to structures in the way sometimes we have to babysit things and keep inspecting to see where people are putting things, having to remove them we have drainage issues, and we're going to use a lot of that for water drainage as these subdivisions get built here, because a lot of our old subdivisions had creeks and waterways. When you get to those areas, they don't have that, so that's a natural place. So he's looked at every avenue, and I think in fairness, he's looked at what's the best interest of the citizens and the maintenance of it, and for Commonwealth, if we had a disaster here and had to get the electrical power up and running. So I wholeheartedly approve it.
Any other questions or comments? Call the question, please.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley.
Yes.
Staub.
Yes.
Hare.
Yes.
Herman.
Yes.
Next.
The next item is something I'd like to discuss and ask for your approval on, is water treatment plant upgrades. In the last several months, I've been working with Superintendent Burton. The mayor's been involved with this, but in an effort to improve our overall water quality, we've been working with IEPA, Environmental Protection Agency, on a new chemical feed process at our water treatment plants. This new process will have many benefits, which should include improved chlorine residuals, lower chlorine demand, and less disinfection byproducts. In addition, we believe the process, in conjunction with our orthophosphate feed process that we put into effect a couple of years ago, will probably help with that process to help decrease the corrosiveness of the copper service lines, which we feel is the issue we're having. We've received a permit from the EPA to provide this new feed, and this would be at all 3 water treatment plants. The specific product, we've been working with Water Solutions. That's the same company that we did work with for the orthophosphate. And this chemical is called Oracle. It's a proprietary product, but it's a non-toxic chemical that's used, I don't know, Bob, if you remember exactly, there's many communities around that are using this product. So it's got a proven track record of reducing biofilms in distribution systems. So tonight I'm requesting to allow us to begin this new chemical feed process, and at the next meeting, which would be the appropriation, we're going to ask for $60,000 in the appropriations to do this work with, basically. And Superintendent Burton came here tonight. If you guys have any questions for me or Bob, we'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions?
I would approve it.
No, I just want to comment that I sat in with Bob and Craig and the representative from the company when he made his presentation. And it sounded great to me.
Yeah, I think Tom and I would agree that we really don't have any options. We need to do this.
Yeah, we would have preferred to plan it, for this kind of came up, and we just don't feel the need. We don't think it's a good thing to wait till the next fiscal year to do this.
Not with our water supply.
So,
Any other comments? Call the question.
What is the question?
The question is, would you approve him moving ahead? I guess we can do this with sort of a consensus, since we're not asking for a specific amount of money. Can I see a sort of a nod of consensus?
Yeah.
Okay.
and we won't spend all the money before the next meeting. We just want to we got the permit. We want to kind of get started and get the legwork going.
I really don't want to
so.
wait. We need to just get going. This is something you can't just sit around and say, we'll do it when we get a chance.
And with that, Bob's done an excellent job here. He's been a superintendent for a short time, so he pretty much took this one on, and I appreciate his help on this to get this thing moving.
Yeah, he's done a lot of work on this. Anything else?
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Planning and zoning. Roger is not here this evening, so I told him that I would ask for approval of ordinance number 14-11, an ordinance amending Title 10, Chapter 10, Chapter 4, Section 13 of the Morton Municipal Code regarding the positioning of dumpsters. He has essentially asked for clarification as to the use of dumpsters, and this adds the following wording that says, "and shall not put on the street or in any right-of-way."
Can I have a motion?
I'll make it.
I'm done. A second? Randy Belsley. Any questions? Call the question.
Belsley?
Yes.
Dobb?
Yes.
Hare?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Kaufman?
Yes.
Village trustees, trustee Belsley.
I just had one item tonight, more of an update for the board on an economic development matter. For the better part of this past year, the Business Attraction Committee of the Morton EDC has been working on a property tax abatement policy that would ultimately include the participation of the other local public bodies. Trustee Newhouse and myself serve on that committee. And just by way of a brief background, I guess, on this matter, you'll recall that in recent years, this board and other local public bodies have had various requests brought before them for property tax abatement for economic development purposes. These have come from Morton businesses that are looking to expand, as well as other businesses outside the area that are considering relocating to Morton. And we really don't have a good framework in place right now to consider those requests. As you know, there's been some consternation over each of those requests, and even among the various public bodies. And the intent with this new policy is to have a plan in place that allows us to, on a consistent basis, to review each of these requests. The policy itself would ultimately be an intergovernmental agreement with the other local taxing bodies, and it would set up the criteria for eligibility, the application process, and the ongoing monitoring of the program itself. The committee right now, where it's at, is in the process of sharing the information with the other public bodies and asking their consideration and concurrence on this policy. And once that's done, an ordinance will be drafted by Attorney Davies and brought before this board for review and consideration, and there'll be ample amount of time for public input at that time as well before the board votes on the matter. That's just an update to let the board know where this is at right now. I believe you received copies of the draft as it's proposed right now, the draft of the ordinance. And I really didn't intend for it's not an agenda item, so I didn't plan to have it discussed tonight because it's not on the agenda, but more of just an informational update for the board. And I think we can be looking at a meeting in the near future to have that ordinance brought before us for consideration.
Will you entertain any questions from the trustees?
If that's okay, I mean, without it being an agenda item to discuss, that's fine, yeah?
Yeah, you can discuss whatever you want.
Sure, okay. Yep. And we also in the audience, I was going to say, have Jennifer Daly and Kim Eulig with the Chamber and the EDC, that if there's any questions by the board members of them as well.
Yeah, there are a lot of people looking at this from all the different phases of government in town, so this is well thought out. Is that it?
That's it.
Trustee Dobb.
Nothing tonight.
Trustee Hare.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Herman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just one brief item. I asked the clerk to include the report that Lon Barkdahl provided from the Gas and Utilities Alliance meeting that he attended a couple weeks ago in Effingham. The Gas and Utility Alliance is a risk management self-insurance organization that the village has participated in since 1978. We're the largest municipality that is part of it, and we represent 8.4% of the Gas and Utility Alliance. It's saved us a lot of money over the years. They have a stellar record, and Lon Barkdahl has served as their vice president and will continue to serve as their vice president. So just a very excellent financial report, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to attempt to answer them.
Any questions?
Thank you. That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
Trustee Kaufman.
Just one item. The plaza recognition pavers that we had discussed earlier, that they were wanting, the first copy is the 9 locations where the 2x2 pavers for those that donate a large sum of money would be available for them to sell. They may use 9 of them, or they may only use 6 of them. and Craig would design the concrete accordingly. But that's what we have here, that we would be asking in my motion to approve those 9 locations as we discussed earlier. This would be in front of the restroom building and the maintenance building at those 9 locations. Any question with that? And then the second drawing is 3 different locations, but we actually have the one location in the sidewalk, which would really be across the shape there, would be across the way. We wouldn't have it on the city sidewalk. Of those 3 locations, we have a possible donor to donate for the entertainment area. So we'd like to make in the motion tonight that they would be approved 1 spot for that donation in that area. So we would be making available 10 locations to sell for those that donate a large amount of money. And the third copy, where you see Farnsworth in the diamond shape, is approximate size within that diamond shape of the donor. And what I would propose is that those would be approved by our Director of Public Works, so they'd all be the same size and consistent throughout the plaza, and that he would have to have his sign off on those designs that go in those locations. The approximate size is 2 by 2, but there will be a border area, and I'd put Craig in charge of that. And my motion would be to approve those 10 locations as we discussed.
Do I have a second? Any questions of Mr. Kaufman?
So these 9 locations plus one
One
of
over there,
these,
correct.
which is still to be determined
Right.
exactly which
And
one
I
is
would leave that
the-
up to Director of Public Works and the donor to decide which one, and then Craig can design their design so our concrete doesn't crack. So we're going to leave that in Mr. Laudermilk's hands. And that's all I have on that, Your Honor.
Along with that same thing, I hope that a lot of people have been taking advantage of the Idlewood Arts Pavilion. They've still got they've got a few pavers left. So when you have your checkbook open to get these plaza spots, you might think about the Arts Pavilion. They still have a few open, and you can go to the Morton Foundation and find out about that. Could I have a vote to go to closed session? We need to have a
Well,
closed
wait a
session.
minute, we need to approve this.
I'm sorry.
So
We
I
need
just
to-
assumed it was acceptable to
Well, we had a motion and a second. I like it
Sorry.
approved, so they can start selling.
Yeah.
want a voice vote?
Yes,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
sorry.
No, that's okay. Then I just have one other comment, Your Honor, on our discussion earlier on the waiver of the development fees on Orchard Hills. I just want the board, I've been working with Craig on this, and I think we have to look at, we have these development fees, and I'm not in favor of waiving them, because as we go along those high wires, we are going to have to cross them at some point. And we've talked about before that the village would pay for the road going underneath the high wires, which I think we were talking approximately 500 feet of road that we'd be paying for. We also have this subdivision, as it gets developed, will come almost to Idlewood Bridge, and there would need some ground purchase and Idlewood Bridge put in. And I think if any of us have been up to the Washington area through that storm, I do not like the idea of not having a second entrance into that subdivision, nor do I like to see that sit there for 20 years and not have Idlewood connect to this subdivision. And I think we need to be looking at the expense of the village as we go down this high wire through town, that we're going to have expenses that we're going to have to decide where we cross it to hit Tennessee, to go underneath the high wires, to do bridges. We're going to have a lot of expense that only the village is probably going to have the pocketbook to do or pay a portion of to get things done. And I think when you look at those development fees, I think they're appropriate to hook onto the gas, water, sewer, Morton, be within Morton. But I think we should be using the portion of tax dollars we're in charge of is to get across these high wires. And I think by leaving it open-ended, then the Director of Public Works can decide where those locations are best as Morton develops, and can decide when we do that. So I would be in favor. I just wanted to explain that while everybody thinks about it for a couple of weeks, that I would be in favor of leaving the development fees as they are.
Any other comments?
And that's all I have.
All right, I'll explain this to the audience. We are going to have to go into executive session to discuss some real estate matters. We do not anticipate a vote when we come back out, so everyone who's here can feel free to leave. You won't miss anything. Staff can leave, but I would like Mr. Loudermilk to stay, if he will.
I would like the village administrator to stay too.
Okay, you'd like to have Wendy stay. Could I have a motion?
So moved, John.
Second? Kelsey, second. All in favor?
No,
Don't have to?
no, it has to be a voice, it has to be a.
Call it.
Dob. Yes.
Tom?
Dob. Yes. What? Yes. Yes.
Just say yes.
Yes. Karen. Yes. Herman.
Yes.
Kaufman.
Yes.
Belsley. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.